Yai, lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
Shana Tova. I am Rabbi Adam Lavitt, the chaplain at Orchard Cove, and joining us is Ginny Sagorin, our cantorial soloist, who is graciously returning to join us for a third year. I'm happy to welcome those of you who have celebrated holidays with us before, as well as those joining us for the first time. In these challenging times, this way of joining together to offer spiritual companionship to each other through these sacred days without being able to physically gather is a challenging first for all of us. We welcome all of you from a distance, family, friends, partners, honored guests, and we welcome all parts of you tonight. Your doubts, your sadness, your uncertainty, as well as your unexpected joys, your hopes and aspirations, your curiosity. Rosh Hashanah is called Yom Harat Olam, the birthday of the world, a time of beginnings. This is more apparent this year, when everything is different. Beginnings can be messy, chaotic, and are far from perfect. What you'll hear and see tonight will surely be different from what you've done in years past. When our ancestors lost what was familiar to them, the Jerusalem temple, they discovered there were other ways to connect, other ways to be together. So tonight, though we are physically apart, I invite us to notice the ways we can still be close, heart to heart, spirit to spirit, offering our voices in song and prayer. And over the next 10 days, we'll enter a period of reflection, explore what old habits we want to shed, what new experiences and ways of being we want to nourish. We begin this journey with candle lighting.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lai, 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 shel Shabbat, Yom Tov.
Before we begin our service on page 17, if you're following in the Machzor, we bless this new beginning together, Shehachianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
The Baruch Hu is on page 17.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach, Yalai, lai, 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 lai. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Continue over the page. You abound in blessings, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of all time and space, whose word brings on twilight. With wisdom you open gateways. With understanding you alter times, vary the seasons, and assign the stars to their watches in the sky. Creator of day and night, who rolls light away from darkness and darkness from light. You cause day to pass and bring about night, distinguishing between day and night. Source of all forces is your name. O living and ever-enduring God, reign over us forever and ever. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who brings on twilight.
אל חי וקיים תמיד, ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
Service continues on page 22.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ועבדך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
For millennia, our people has survived unbelievable hardship. It could so easily be otherwise, but somehow we're still here, not just having survived, but thrived, even gained a little bit of wisdom. One bit of wisdom our ancestors have passed on to us is the idea that faith and certainty are not the same thing. With Micha Mocha, we recite words our ancestors spoke while they were fleeing Pharaoh and his armies, not when they got safely to the other shore of the Reed Sea, but when they were in the very midst of crossing its waters. They were terrified, uncertain how they would make it. The Midrash tells us when an Israelite woman was walking through the sea in this moment, leading her son by the hand, and he began to weep. She reached into the wall of water next to her, and out came an apple or a pomegranate to give him. As they were to lack nothing in the wilderness, the Midrash tells us, so also they lacked nothing in the depths. As we recite Micha Mocha and proclaim wonder at somehow still being here, let us, in the midst of everything we do not know, in the depths that we are passing through right now, lean into our capacity to trust that we will make it to the other side, that we will get what we need to get there, even if we don't quite know how or what it is that we need yet. Open to the unexpected events that will sustain us. If you are following along in the prayer book, we're on page 30.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We continue with the English on the next page. Hashkivenu, Eternal One, our God, cause us to lie down in peace and raise us up to life, our sovereign. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us for your name's sake. Shield us and remove from our path all enmity, disease, war, famine, and sorrow. Remove all obstacles from before and behind us, and shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you are a protecting and saving power, truly a sovereign power. Gracious and compassionate are you.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
Our service continues on page 36 if you are following along in the Machzor. Meditation for a new year. A new year opens before us, and we approach it uncertain, yet with hope. for we cannot know what lies ahead of us, the opportunities and temptations it will bring, the pleasure and the pain. On the threshold, we pause in the quietness to think about the past year, and in the silence, consider how we used it. The Amidah begins in the middle of the page. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. May God open my lips that I might utter praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, ve'Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol, hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, gomer chasadim tovim v'koneh hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot, u'mevii gula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo b'yahava. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotfeinu b'sefer hachaim, lemancha Elohim chaim. Melech ozer, u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ufoked Sarah.
Amen.
אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני, מחיים מתים, אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו, זוכר יצוריו, לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן הצל החיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
Amen. Invite you from wherever you are right now to take a little quiet with the words on the page if you're using them, or with your own prayers, your own meditations. Just a quiet time, quiet spot to just reflect on the year behind you and what your hopes are for the year ahead. If you're following in the book, we'll just continue through page 48 and meet up again there. In the book of life, blessing, peace, and honorable prosperity, may we be remembered and inscribed, we and all your people, Israel, for a life of goodness and peace. If you're standing, you may be seated.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ולשלום ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Amen. It feels like at least a decade since our last high holidays when we gathered in the ballroom to weave our voices together in song. So we're here tonight grieving the waves upon waves of losses we've had over the past year. As we recount our personal and communal losses, we add to them the loss of this ability to join together as a community during this tender time of year. Over the past year, many of us have understandably closed our hearts in the face of overwhelming cruelty, injustice, and death we have faced personally or read about in the news. The lack of national leadership to care for and protect us during COVID-19. The police killings of George Floyd and the countless other Black and brown people. The destruction of life-giving natural resources like our water and air, and the apocalyptic scenes from California and beyond where wildfires continue to rage. Writer Brene Brown points out moments like this, when our hearts close, they actually don't just close to the bad stuff, everything I just named and more, but also to the good stuff. As we armor our hearts against the horror of this past year, we may find that we've also been unable to fully take in positive experiences, the love of friends and family, the taste of good food, the beauty of the natural world around us as the seasons pass too quickly. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Harat HaOlam, the birthday of the world, is not a time to judge ourselves for our closed hearts. Rather, it's an invitation to wake up to how we are choosing to live, how we are choosing to love. It's an opportunity to return, to start over, to renew ourselves, to use our awareness of life's fragility, to live with a bit more intention, and to open our hearts once more so they can respond to both the joys and the challenges we face and will face, so we can live, love, and just feel more fully. According to contemporary theologian Rabbi Yitz Greenberg, one of my teachers, after humanity emerged in the final moments of the world's birth, what we're remembering today on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Harat HaOlam, and just before we were expelled from, in his words, the garden of fate to the plain of free will. We were given a choice, but also a responsibility, which we read about each year on the Shabbat leading up to Rosh Hashanah. See, I set before you this day life and good, death and evil. According to this verse in Deuteronomy, every good and godly action enhances life, and every evil action reduces life. We have faced the choice between life and death many times over the past year, confronted with life's incredible fragility. We easily despair. In light of this, the Torah's invitation to all of us who have faced this choice to becharta b'chaim, to choose life, may feel especially hard. It's not easy or always the obvious thing to do when we are grieving or isolated or struggling, to seek purpose and connection. But tonight, you have chosen life by gathering virtually for these days of awe. Tomorrow and on Yom Kippur, my sermons will focus on how we might face life's fragility and, despite it, choose life. May these talks, joined with your prayers and meditations, inspire you, inspire all of us to bring attention this year to the small daily ways we can make this choice. Eating in a way that brings life to ourselves and to our planet. Speaking in ways that bring more life, more love, and justice into the world. Spending our time in a way that engages us with people and activities and visions that we care about and want to tend. I'm wishing you all a Shana Tova Umetuka. May we all be renewed and our days sweetened in the year ahead. We continue with the Hatzi Kaddish, which can be found on page 52 in your prayer books.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך ישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
service continues with Aleinu. If you're following in the Machzor, you can find it on page 57. We follow the paragraph marked trad.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we enter these holy days, we feel more deeply a lot of the losses that we've experienced over the last year and the loss of being able to gather this year. So I just invite us to be gentle with ourselves as we turn to Mourner's Kaddish now and call to mind those who we perhaps lost recently or at this time in years past. We're on page 62 in the prayer book. If you're reciting Mourner's Kaddish, or it's your custom to say it on behalf of those who have known to say it for them, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olalmei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata ta'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
Amen.
You may be seated if you are standing. Just a few brief announcements. First of all, thank you so much for bringing your generous attention to this virtual gathering tonight. We hope you will consider joining us again tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on channel 918, or however you're joining us, for our special Rosh Hashanah day service. I'll now invite Rose Radaziner to read Psalm 27, the sacred poem that accompanies us from the Hebrew month of Elul until the end of Sukkot, our harvest festival.
Hear my voice, Eternal One, when I call. Be gracious and answer me. It is you I seek, my heart says. I seek your presence, Eternal One. Do not hide your presence from me. Do not turn away from me in anger. Do not spurn or abandon me, my God of deliverance. Though my father and mother abandon me, the Eternal One will take me in. Teach me, Eternal One, your ways. Guide me in the path of integrity, that I might overcome my foe. Do not give me over to my enemy, for false witnesses arise against me, those who testify viciously. So I trusted to see the goodness of the Eternal in the land of the living. Trust in the Eternal. Be strong and of good courage, and trust in the Eternal.
Thank you, Rose. Our service concludes with Adon Olam, followed by Kiddush. We're on page 66 for Adon Olam.
Please join in, everyone. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa b'chefzo kol hazai melech shemo nikra hazai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת ישן והעירה ואם רוחי גוויעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא אדוני לי ולא אירא. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.
Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. We are turning back now, if you're following in the Machzor, to page 55 for Kiddush for both of these special days coinciding, Shabbat and the Yom Tov.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'titzen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava et yom Shabbat hazeh ve'et yom hazikaron hazeh yom zichron teruah be'ahava מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש השבת בישראל ויום הזיכרון.
לחיים, אמן.
לחיים. לשנה טובה תכתבו, לשנה טובה תכתבו, תכתבו ותחתמו.
Shana Tova, we look forward to seeing you in this way tomorrow at 10 a.m.